Anybody that's familiar with the Cincinnati Zoo knows that we are committed to cheetahs. For years we have exhibited them. We breed them out on a farm in the country. We run them up in our cheetah encounter. We're even involved in cheetah conservation in Africa. But all of this is more complex than you'd think, especially sometimes the breeding, because it takes cooperation. I'm here with Christina Gorsuch. She's our mammal curator, and you even sometimes bring babies from other zoos?
Yeah, that's right. So cheetah mothers cannot raise a single cub. They're biologically not able to. They shut down. So when we have single cubs...
Now, how come? Because it'd be too much effort and they wouldn't make it?
It's just, yeah, it's one of those things where I think biologically their system decides it's not worth the energy if they were in the wild that they'd have to put into raising one cub.
Okay.
So it's pretty harsh, but it's Mother Nature, and that's what
yeah.
happens. So we've learned that here over the years in zoos. So when a single cub is born, even if it's being cared for by its mother, we try to find another litter of similar age to put it in with.
Okay, that's neat. So we've had the ones that have raised here, and we take them, we put them in shows. But we brought one all the way from Oregon and put it with a surrogate mom?
That's right.
Tell how that works.
Yeah, so we had a litter of cubs born out at our breeding center. There was 4 cubs born out there. And then 5 days later, a safari park in Oregon had a cub born, 2 cubs born. One died immediately after birth, so then they had a single cub, and they knew immediately that it was going to be an issue. So 5 days later, when that cub was 5 days old, they got on a plane, flew directly out here with this little
and it's
cub.
about this big then.
I mean, like fits barely in the palm of your hand. And the keepers in Oregon were very, very smart about this, and they made sure they didn't have too much contact with the cub. So they pretty much picked up the cub, wrapped it in a blanket, and set it in the carrier. And I picked her up from the airport. We went right out to the farm, and our training out of the farm allowed us to call our mother, Kathleen, inside to eat her dinner. So she left her cubs alone. She went to eat her snack. We went in there, put the new cub in, rubbed some hay and the other cubs all over them, and put them back in a big pile. And we left, and Kathleen came out, and that cub was really hungry because it had been 10 or 12 hours since it had last eaten. And it climbed right on Kathleen and started nursing, and she either didn't know or didn't care that she had one more cub.
So they've been here a little while. How's it going?
It's going great. It's going great. For a while there, we could tell the new cub apart, the Oregon cub apart, and then as they started to grow and develop, they all look very similar now. We actually, right before we put her in, we did what's called a transponder chip. It's a little tiny size of grain of rice that we put right under their skin so we could always tell apart which cub that was. Because the reason she was brought here, and it was so important, is she's the most genetically valuable cub in the entire population. So it was very important for her to be with other cheetahs and learn how to be a natural cheetah so that she could breed and her genetics could go on into the future. So they're about 4 months old now, and they're, out there causing all sorts of trouble, running around, and really good.
Now they're part of a bigger national, maybe international breeding cooperative program, so those cubs probably won't stay at our breeding farm, right? They might go somewhere else.
Correct. We have 2 males and then now 3 females out there. The females usually are separated. Sometimes we'll keep sisters together, but it's more natural for female cheetahs to be solitary and alone. Males will form what's called coalitions of 2 or 3. So we'll probably keep the 2 males together, and they'll either go to another zoo to be exhibited or potentially a breeding facility. But that one female cub from Oregon, she will either stay here at our breeding center, which would be great, or she'll go to another breeding center because her genetics are so important.
Yeah, that is so great. You know what's neat about that is cheetahs are popular in zoos, but they are endangered in the wild, and also they don't breed everywhere. You need a facility that's a big one like that, and that's been pretty successful out there.
We've been very successful out there. Yeah.
It feels like one of the secrets is that the main keeper, Tommy Tenenfeld, and the folks that work with him pretty much leave them alone.
So the success with cheetah breeding centers is that they are usually off-site and there are not visitors around. Cheetah are particular cats. They're a little bit odd cats, and they like their alone time, they like their space, and they're fairly solitary, so they like to stay away from other cheetahs. So you need the large amount of space that we have to create very large pens and to be able to move the male and female cheetahs to other ends of the property so that they aren't kind of aware of each other. So the peace and quiet seems to work well for cheetahs.
It does, and it's a fun thing. Next time you're down at the zoo, we've got cheetahs all over the place, so make sure you come see them.